Jack Daniels. Good morning and welcome to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Time for a little more fun and frolic and making fun of liberals.
Oh, yes it is. Well, I think calling them to the carpet this morning as we've seen some of their shenanigans come out.
Yes. I just remember years ago after the Benghazi incident that when Trey Gowdy and several others were putting together that Benghazi investigation committee, Brittany, and the Democrats were bitching and moaning and that we were taking up too much time and too much money over something that was just old hat and over, and we needed to move on. And what's the reason? And of course you had the Hildebeest up there testifying with, today we're going to go out and kill some Americans. But at this point, what difference does it make? Well, those people are still dead, by the way, that were killed.
Well,
3 Navy SEALs.
Well, I think that's the thing. There were 3 dead Navy SEAls.
And a U.S. ambassador that we had, the first U.S. ambassador killed in over 30 years.
So that's a really big deal. And they were responsible.
Yeah.
So what happened? We needed to know what happened. And I don't know that we got the full scope of everything with that investigation because there was so much pushback. But
yeah. And they finally, had to disavow it, or not disavow it, but to get rid of it, and nothing ever came of it. Nobody ever got fired. Nobody ever went to jail or anything of that nature. And the Hildebeest even ran for president and thought she was going to win in a landslide, and she got her head handed to her. And she's still complaining about it.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Yeah, thank God, more than anything else. So now we have the January 6th, and yesterday was the second anniversary of what was described by the Democrats as the worst insurrection since the Civil War.
Yeah.
And they had that January 6th committee. Now, how much time did this take? How much money did this cost? How many prime time shows did we have of this thing?
Several, and they never gave us anything. There was never any hard evidence given. It was cherry-picked information, and they were able to create a narrative because they never released the video footage.
Not a single Democrat was ever called up. Nobody ever called Nancy Pelosi up there and asked her why she didn't authorize, and also the mayor of Washington, D.C., also had the authority to authorize National Guard troops when the president had asked for it 3 days earlier.
Yep, they have some culpability here, and I don't think it'll be interesting. I don't think anything's going to happen. However, the actions of these people on this committee, and it was done under false pretenses. Like, I feel like they were looking for a narrative. They were going to get that narrative at any cost, regardless of how long it took, which was about 2 years before they made recommendations to the DOJ. And then we're told that there's all this video footage that they're also not releasing to people that are being held in jail because they're not even being charged. There's no due process for these people, and they don't have access to the video to defend themselves.
And we have people that were participating, and Sean Hannity has talked about this till he's blue in the face, of all the 580 plus riots that took place in the Summer of Love back in 2020, when buildings were being destroyed and people's lives were being destroyed, their livelihoods were being destroyed, people were getting killed. A retired police officer in St. Louis who was just trying to help his friend defend his jewelry store is shot and is murdered by these people. Antifa, which according to Joyless Behar and her Confederates, doesn't exist.
Fiery but mostly peaceful, I believe they
mostly peaceful. Yeah, you got the Communist News Network reporter standing up there. He says, and you can see it's mostly peaceful while there's a fire burning behind him that looked like the Chicago fire. It's unbelievable. And none of those people, as far as we know, went to jail. The only ones that got justice were the ones that Kyle Rittenhouse got rid of. And you had these people that were rioting out in Portland, Oregon, attacking federal buildings. They were shining lasers into the eyes of federal officials. They blinded some FBI and federal officers, or at least partially blinded them, or did great eye damage. Anybody been arrested there?
Nope, not a one. Not a one. Bill.
But yet we've got people that are, you know, a guy goes into the Capitol with, you know, with a Viking hat on, and he's still in jail.
Yes, and I think that there's some very enticing footage that has come out from Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, now that the Republicans are in charge and trying to save America, this footage was released, and of course the lamestream media is lamenting that Tucker Carlson got it. Well, no wonder, because he's going to put it on the air, which he did last night. And speaking of the guy with the Viking hat, look at this.
We're going to get inside with footage that shows you what was actually happening inside the Capitol. The footage does not show an insurrection or a riot in progress. Instead, it shows police escorting protesters through the building, including the now infamous QAnon shaman. Watch. These are the pictures you've seen of January 6th. They're familiar because they've been playing on a loop on every media outlet in America for the last 2 years. There's a reason for that. But it turns out there's quite a bit of video you haven't seen. And that video tells a very different story about what happened on January 6th. More than 40,000 hours of surveillance footage from in and around the Capitol have been withheld from the public. And once you see the video, you'll understand why. Taken as a whole, the video record does not support the claim that January 6th was an insurrection. In fact, it demolishes that claim. And that's exactly why the Democratic Party and its allies in the media prevented you from seeing it. By controlling the images you were allowed to view from January 6th, they controlled how the public understood that day. They could lie about what happened, and you would never know the difference. Those lies had a purpose. They created a pretext for a federal crackdown on opponents of the Uniparty in Washington.
Our office wanted to ensure that there was shock and awe, that we could charge as many people as possible.
The first thing you notice from viewing the full video record of January 6th is just how many people entered the Capitol building that day. Hundreds and hundreds of people, possibly thousands, over the course of about 2 hours. The crowd was enormous. A small percentage of them were hooligans. They committed vandalism. You've seen their pictures again and again. But the overwhelming majority weren't. They were peaceful. They were orderly and meek. These were not insurrectionists. They were sightseers. Footage from inside the Capitol overturns the story you've heard about January 6th. Protesters queue up in neat little lines. They give each other tours outside the Speaker's office. They take cheerful selfies and they smile. They're not destroying the Capitol. They obviously revere the Capitol. They're there because they believe the election was stolen from them. They believe in the system. Here's the man you've heard referred to as the QAnon shaman outside the Senate chamber. These are not rioters. These are people who wandered over from a political rally.
We will not let them silence your voices.
After the rally, they walked down Pennsylvania Avenue, where organizers had secured a federal permit to hold a legal rally on the grounds of the Capitol.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
Once at the Capitol building, things began to get chaotic. Capitol police officers fired tear gas into the crowd. A few at the front of the herd broke windows. Someone opened the doors, and many hundreds of others just walked in.
They're going to make that the story.
Of course, they did make it the story. And at the center of it, the single most famous person arrested that day was a Navy veteran from Arizona called Jacob Chansley, often referred to as the QAnon shaman.
The so-called QAnon shaman.
QAnon shaman.
Someone named Q Shaman.
Jacob Chansley became the face of January 6th, a dangerous conspiracy theorist dressed in outlandish costume who led the violent insurrection to overthrow American democracy. For these crimes, Chansley was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison, far more time than many violent criminals now receive. What did Jacob Chansley do to receive this punishment? To this day, there is dispute over how Chansley got into the Capitol building. But according to our review of the internal surveillance video, it is very clear what happened once he got inside. Virtually every moment of his time inside the Capitol was caught on tape. The tapes show that Capitol Police never stopped Jacob Chansley. They helped him. They acted as his tour guides. Here's video of Chansley in the Senate chamber. Capitol Police officers take him to multiple entrances and even try to open locked doors for him. We counted at least 9 officers who were within touching distance of unarmed Jacob Chansley. Not one of them even tried to slow him down. Chansley understood that Capitol Police were his allies. Video shows him giving thanks for them in a prayer on the floor of the Senate. Watch.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for giving the inspiration needed to these police officers to allow us in this building.
Contrast the reality of what Jacob Chansley did in the Capitol building on January 6th, the indisputable facts recorded on video, some of which has never before been seen, with the depiction of Jacob Chansley that you've seen in the media for more than 2 years. He's a terrorist, they said. He should be killed.
Shoot him. Yeah. Shoot him. Like, you burst into the United States, if he was dressed like bin Laden, would you have shot him?
Shoot him. Shoot him. It makes you wonder, who are the violent extremists here? Not Jacob Chansley, and the video proves that. But you would never have known from the media coverage.
The people sitting in the chairs need to be sitting in a jail cell.
Chansley is in a jail cell. He's been there for months. If he was in fact committing such a grave crime, why didn't the officers who were standing right next to him place him under arrest? Until now, no one could even prove that even happened. But it did.
It's hard to watch that and know what these people have been through based off of the narrative that's been spun up about them.
This is so egregious and so terrifying on so many levels, it's hard to even imagine where we have come. I have looked at some other news websites this morning. I don't see a single mention of this fact, of trying to get justice for this gentleman. And did you notice that any of those people that went in, unlike Antifa that doesn't exist, and did they besmirch any of the? Did they destroy any property? I mean, other than when they smashed doors. I know those people that smash doors and windows. Did you see them spray painting any of Thomas Jefferson's statue, or trying to, or throw rocks at it, or trying to turn it over?
No, they were taking photos of the Capitol as well.
Yeah, they were doing selfies and everything else.
They were like tourists.
Yes, I'm in America's congressional house. This is my house. I'm helping pay for it.
Yeah, and Bill, I think the thing that's really dangerous is this is what our governments come to. They care more about the narrative and winning than they do about their own citizens.
And of course, the media as well. But I repeat myself. I am so frustrated. I'm continually, personally and professionally embarrassed on a daily basis of what journalism has become in America. That there are so few journalists left, Tucker Carlson practically leading the list. You could probably count them on one hand. Yeah, well, and Bill, I will tell you that, Tucker has received multiple death threats. He had to move his family out of the city. Because of all the shenanigans. And we're lucky for people that do stand up. It's not easy. People are attacked all the time. And we've got to stop doing this. Here's part of the narrative. When he introduced this last night, he went through everything that the January 6th committee should have done. He said, we have vetted this. Our producers have looked at it. It has been authorized. He said, we showed all of the footage that we're going to show to the Capitol Police. And he said, with very few exceptions, they said, yep, that's it. That's fine. So they went through all the proper steps, but they're the ones kicking the brickbats. This is pathetic. This is disgusting. This is frightening. This is treason. Yes, it is. And all of the elected officials, I believe there is a law on the books that says if you are using your political office, against the American people, then it is treason. Yeah. You should be prosecuted. Liz Cheney and all her Confederates, they're the ones that we should be swapping the jail cells, take the people out that were there, and put them in. Absolutely. And why does the Republican Party also not do something about these people that they have not done the right thing? Liz Cheney should be thrown out of the GOP. Exactly. I got a call from him yesterday asking for money. I said, when you start growing a backbone, and I'm tired of waiting on it, maybe we can get one to grow in a Wuhan lab somewhere. But for God's sakes, start standing up for America. Everyone needs to start doing that. Yes. That starts with us too, you too. All right, yes. Coming up next.
we have Antifa, up in Atlanta. I don't think they're going anywhere.
No, it doesn't exist, but sure is causing a lot of trouble.
Sure is. We'll be right back.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance. With integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
At Get Real America, we'd like to thank the Southeast Georgia Republican Assembly for all their efforts on making a difference in our communities.
When you're looking to buy a business or sell a business, the experts at Best Business Brokers have you covered. Whether you're ready to cash in on your years of hard work or you're taking that first step in buying a business of your own, they're here to guide you through the process and make sure you get the best outcome possible. By having Best Business Brokers assist you when you buy a business or sell a business, they handle the legwork of the intricate process. This ensures a smooth transition of ownership, allowing you to get to work immediately or receive payment for your business as soon as possible. With base operations in Savannah and Charleston, they service all of Georgia and South Carolina. If you're considering starting a business here, the mild winters and 5-tiered economic areas make these the perfect places to do so. If you're ready to buy a business or sell a business, then you're ready to contact Best Business Brokers. Visit their website at b3brokers.com or call at 912-349-0940.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
I'm Bill Edwards.
I'm Brittany Brown.
Glad to have you aboard on this here Tuesday morning. It is 2 years and a day past the worst insurrection since the Civil War. And
it's 2 months, right?
Yeah.
2 months and 2 days.
2 years.
Yeah.
2 years and a day.
Oh, yeah, 2 years and a day.
Yeah.
No, because it was January 6th, right?
Yeah.
So it's March
January
6th.
6th. That's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
We didn't say we were math people.
That's true. Yeah. Sorry. One of those senior moments. Yesterday being somehow the 6th just seemed to drift in. And so a Biden moment.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So we have these Cretans up in Atlanta from Antifa that, according to Joyless Behar and her Confederates, don't exist.
Yeah, apparently they...
Yeah,
Antifa is just an idea, right?
Jerry Nadler, the nattering nabob from New York, when asked about Antifa, said, it's a myth. It's a myth. Well, the myth is causing some trouble up in Atlanta because these people who claim that they want to declassify and disarm the police and also defund the police are saying they need more training. So we're building a training center, and they're trying to keep it from being built.
You can't win. You can't win.
No, you can't. But this is what it looks like in our capital city, or what it did.
Yeah, I think it, though, I can't believe it's gone on for as long as it has, to be
I can't
honest.
either. I can't either.
But, I mean, the fact that they've arrested all of these people, I mean, I hope that they are prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And I think the maximum sentence is like 20 years, I believe. So,
Let's give them the maximum.
Yeah, well, and they're all...
Our tax dollars at work.
Well, most of them are young people, too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just...
Oh, I'm looking at the date of birth for these people. One of them at 2004. You do the math.
Yeah, they're very young people. A lot of people in the 90s. Which,
late 90s.
Yep.
And early 20s.
Yep.
Early 2000s. So these are people who, most of them, who weren't even around when the towers were hit.
That's crazy to think about.
It is.
Really
it
crazy
is.
to think about.
Yeah.
They weren't alive for a lot of the history that most of us remember, and just I don't understand why people think it's necessary to do this, but
Well, but this is just part of what we're seeing as far as the anti-police, which is the oldest communist tactic in the world is to defile and get rid of the police, and you're seeing that happen, and our police departments now are getting their knees bloody, begging for people to come to work.
yeah, I mean, but do you blame them when you're getting fireworks and stuff? Like,
No, I don't blame them a bit. And then when you have, like we had a local police department here, I won't mention it, but they had a young police officer, kid, 19 years old, come in, and because he posted something from the Bible on his private Facebook page, he was forced to leave.
yeah, and I mean,
So you need good people, and you're running them off when they get there. Nice job.
well, that's the thing. I think that you again, I think we're seeing the societal breakdown because we don't have God in our lives. We and people are looking for something to fill that void. If you're
Exactly.
not religious, religion gives you a sense of purpose. And so these people are now thinking that their purpose is, climate change and, social justice. And now that is really filling the void for their purpose. And it's creating a lot of extremists.
Yeah, you listen to the smartest bartender in the world, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who says we only have 12 years left. Of course, she's starting her third term, so that's almost 6. So we've only got about 6 years left now.
Yeah.
And you have people that said, I'm not going to have children because I don't want to bring children into this world where they're not going to be don't have long to live in the first place. This is dangerous. This is pathetic. We are not replacing ourselves quickly enough.
Well, the good news about that is that the people that are having children, they're most likely conservative.
Yeah. But sometimes DNA is a crazy thing.
Yes, it is.
You never know what's going to happen.
Very true. But I will say, there is a lot of hope. And I think, some of the stuff that you've done in the last couple of weeks, the coverage of those star children in our high schools here, I think that was, for me, very encouraging because of how full of life they are and how energetic they are about their futures, which I love to see.
And yet, unfortunately, sometimes we love to say we have this exclusive. Unfortunately, I had this exclusive. Not a single television station thought it was important enough to cover our Star Student, Star Teacher program at the downtown Kiwanis Club 2 weeks ago. Not one. Now, somebody said, well, the public school system has a person they pay full time, and I've seen those salaries, and they are quite handsome. They're in the six-figure range in many cases, to send out publicity about what's going on in our school system. And they could have easily notified every member of the media that the Star Student, Star Teacher program was taking place last Tuesday. We do it every February, the third Tuesday in February. Every year we've been doing it that way for almost 25 years. It's not like it's a secret.
Yeah, and like I said, I think more people need to see that because the energy from the young people is what I think keeps a lot of us going.
And these kids are so sharp. They are well spoken. And when they come up, we ask them to tell us a little bit about themselves, where they plan to go to school, what they plan to study, and many of them, I'm going to Georgia Tech to study, electrical engineering. I'm going to Georgia Southern to do marketing. I've been accepted to Yale to do this, that, or the other.
The military. There were some people that said they were going into the military, which is
so they're going right in the service, and very, very encouraging. And yet, the media didn't see, in this town, didn't see fit to go come cover it.
Yeah, but the youth is where there's hope.
But if any one of them had gone out and thrown a rock through the window at City Hall, that would have been the lead story.
You are correct there.
And then they would have made a big deal of the fact, this is a star student. Mm-hmm. Yeah, give me a break.
Oh, Bill. Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yes.
Always making waves.
Yes, sirree. She's at it again. And, of course, the rest of the media just wants to make her into the kook burger of the year. She comes. Last night with Sean Hannity, when she was talking about some of the latest legislation that she is proposing to help save America.
All right, now to the left, it's true. Thank you. All right, let's go to the latest show of tolerance. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene says she was attacked at a restaurant last night because of her political views. This comes just 1 week after she posted a tweet about America's, quote, national divorce. And by the way, plenty of people in the media never went to her and asked her specifically what she meant. We did, detailing a plan to decentralize the federal government. And of course, the media mob wasted no time attacking her with false accusations that she was talking about secession. Now, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene joins us with more. Congresswoman, welcome back. I want to settle the issue of the national divorce, but first, what happened to you? I've had my own incidents in the course of my career. It's not fun when it happens. What happened?
Well, last night I was having dinner with two members of my staff. And we were preparing for committee hearings today. And then we were approached. A woman came over to my table, came and stood very close to me and started verbally attacking me, calling me all kinds of names. And then another member of her party started screaming, "F you, Marjorie," as loud as he possibly could, over and over and over again.
And it was obvious after I interviewed you that people do not understand what you're saying. So I want to get into more detail, which we got into in radio because we had more time. And you are not calling for secession in any way, shape, manner, or form. And I just even said that night, I said, I think the majority of Americans want us to be the United States of America. Let's talk specifically about what you mean. You're not talking about separate countries.
Surgeries unauthorized.
Yep, and I think that there's a lot that we need to get into there, especially because I think even in our state, I have some questions about why we are not blocked.
At Get Real America, we are focused on Savannah, but we'd like to hear from other communities as well. We have a lot in common.
Serving the Savannah area with the power of the Shield since 1934, with personal insurance, employee benefits, and business insurance. With integrity, security, and trust. For more information, go to thepoweroftheshield.com.
And just how much everyone defined themselves by the music they listened to.
Music as a framework, I think, gave my parents my identity from a young age. You can like any music that you want if it makes you feel happy. And now when I hear certain songs, I think of them, and I think of them in their happy.
Welcome back to Get Real America.
At least we think so.
Yes, we hope so. We have had
just a few technical issues here and there.
Yes, and our friend Theo Jobsy says, looks like they're at it again, censored. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, no, not a bit.
After the January 6th stuff we just played.
Yes, sir. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get back on YouTube purgatory.
Yeah, yep.
So,
and our friend Lizzie Warren this morning said the worst part about the January 6th evidence is that they withheld the evidence for the DOJ trial. So we should be able to go after them for that. But anyway.
Absolutely. But so look for heads to roll.
I mean, we've never seen it. So,
sometimes you just tell them for yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, Bill. At what point is it we've had enough? People have got to start. I mean, I don't want to see people get angry and things get out of control.
No.
But they have to get fed up. We have to be done with all of the shenanigans. I mean, between the school board stuff that we're seeing, which, I mean, I think Marjorie Taylor Greene has, a lot to say about what they're doing in our schools and
exactly.
And what they're pushing. And I will say, people are like, the drag shows. How do you feel about the story time drag at the libraries?
I think those people ought to be arrested. Anybody who organized it should be arrested. The people who are participating should be arrested. And anybody in the school system that approved this should be arrested.
Well, they're doing it in public libraries. So like at the Bull Street Library, they're having a drag queen come in and read to kids. How do you feel about that?
I think they should be arrested. I believe the philosophy is going to be consistent. I'm glad they at least let, when Kirk Cameron was here, they at least let him there because a lot of libraries wouldn't.
And he was phenomenal, Bill.
Without a doubt.
I mean, he was so good with the kids, like amazing. Like the kids were engaged. He was talking back and forth with them, reading the story.
And when you see these drag queen shows, you see that the kids aren't paying a damn bit of attention for the most part. They're looking around like, I don't know what this is, but please let's get out the crayons and do something constructive here. They don't know what's going on. They don't know who these people are.
No, can you imagine if a female dressed the same way was performing for these children, or even went into a library dressed like that and was reading to children?
Right.
Do you think that people would be okay with that?
No.
I don't think so. I don't think we allow children in strip clubs, do we?
No. I don't understand the philosophy. I don't understand the thinking, and it gives me pause to think that, and a lot of people think this is crazy, but I'm not sure that the public schools can be saved. Or our major universities.
Well, I think that there are things that we can do to have incentives for them to change. Like, I don't know, maybe we take away their funding. I think that that's part of it. If you guys can't behave right, guess what? In Georgia, we're not going to give our institutions any money.
Freshman year, those kids had been freshmen when that happened. They were seniors that year. The seniors when I got there had been freshmen when those riots took place. Heard the stories about what went on and how frightened they were and how most of them hunkered down in their dorms most of the time, whether a Molotov cocktail was going to come flying through their window or something like that, and how bad it was. But things had settled down. But the Attorney General at that time, who ordered the troops onto the campus to take Meredith to school, cost taxpayers of America $6 million in 1962 to send James Meredith to school for a year. But all the Attorney General was a fellow named Robert Kennedy. The year before I got there, Robert Kennedy was now a senator from New York, and he was invited to speak at Ole Miss. He accepted the invitation. Now, the news media was there just hoping somebody would throw a rock at him. All I heard was the recording of it at the campus radio station. They recorded his speech, and the students were so polite. They were welcoming him. They laughed at his jokes. He gave an excellent speech. He was well received. Nobody tried to shout him down. There weren't any demonstrators outside trying to keep people from coming in or keeping him from speaking. It was very, very civil. And hats off to the young lady the young man actually, who introduced him, who said before that had invited George Wallace to speak on campus at the time, the governor of Alabama, who had stood in the door of the University of Alabama preventing a young black girl from enrolling, and said that but the invitation for him to speak up there was withdrawn because he didn't share the values of those people up there, and so so he was not welcome at Yale. He said, "Never let it again be said that Mississippi is a closed society." I was just applauding this kid from just shouting from the roof. Racial society that didn't allow other speech or black people to enroll in schools. Of course, by that time they had. But here's Yale University blocking somebody they disagreed with. Here we are inviting Robert Kennedy to the guy who ordered the troops onto the campus 3 years before.
Wow, that's incredible, Bill.
So, and yet he was well received. They laughed at his jokes. It was a good speech. Everybody was polite, much to the news media's chagrin.
Yeah, and I think that's what you have to do. You have to be courageous, you have to be bold, and you have to do the right thing.
And I was going to high school still when my dad moved to Charleston, so Charleston's my second hometown. So I was up there all the time. Channel 5, had a friend that worked at Channel 5 WCSC, idea of spray painting these rioters with red ink was going to incite violence and discrimination against these people. Well, nobody told them to show up. It said you can protest peacefully. I don't mind if they're sitting out there. You know, they have the little signs with with all the poster paint that they've purchased that helps commerce. But when you start tearing down buildings, when you start setting fire to buildings, when you set off fireworks and then complain because the police shot back and killed somebody, I'm sorry. If you're a revolutionary, you get ready to pay the price. Our revolution in America wasn't bought with poster paint. It was bought with blood.
Their actions, whatever that looks like, but we can't continue to have the chaos that we've seen in this country the last 3 to 5 years.
No, and I could not believe the elected officials who are supposed to protect us, who swear on an oath to protect their citizens, were allowing these riots to take place. When the Minneapolis story just blew me away when they said these people these rioters were going in and taking over a police precinct, and the mayor said, "Well, go ahead and let them." What? I mean, I just and the people like the mayor of Portland and others in Seattle are just, these people ought to be behind bars. They ought to be in Leavenworth or under it. Yeah,
the main goal of the government is to protect the citizens.
Yeah, that seems to be the prime directive. At least they're supposed to. We're supposed to have closed borders. All the fentanyl, everything is coming up. There was a horror story this morning about in Montana how their fentanyl and drugs investigations and violations have increased over 1,000% in the last year, and now there is a powdered form of fentanyl before she recovered, and was lucky to do that.
Well, I think that also it's so concentrated that it's
Exactly.
A little bit can just kill you instantly. So,
and for this stuff to be powder form and airborne,
yeah, very dangerous.
Well, and we're doing, and by the way, and here's a video of what the president's doing about this. Want to see it again?
It doesn't exist.
But we're worried right now. We're worried about whether or not he is going to approve ConocoPhillips up in Alaska to continue to start another oil drilling project up there. We think he's going to, and the union that voted for this guy and supported this guy, the AFL-CIO, the oil drillers union or whatever they are, are saying, please do that. This is American jobs. We wouldn't have to import so much from Venezuela and help out other dictators around the world, but that are in many cases are cutting us off in some cases.
Yeah, well, and I think the environmentalists are all up in arms about what kind of damage it's going to do to the animals and the wildlife up there, Bill.
Please. There's not a whole lot of wildlife. The wildlife that's there doesn't want to be there. It's like 20 or 30 degrees below zero just about all the time. There's even a television series I watch once in a while called Life Below Zero, showing how these people live up there. And I was like, gee whiz, that takes
commitment.
That takes commitment. That takes a special person. But remember, let's give a little perspective once again. In the 1970s, when they were building the original oil pipeline in Alaska, the same environmentalists maybe their great-grandfather or something, was out there protesting because it was going to kill all these animals. It was going to destroy the landscape. The elk population would be decimated. When they built this, they finally got this thing built. It was so nice for the animals. The elk population actually quadrupled because they loved it. It was nice and warm, and they were rubbing themselves up against it and everything else. It's just amazing. It's like when they drill for oil off of our coast, we get more fish because they actually turn that oil dry in other countries. Lots and lots of great, good-paying jobs, and giving us the supplies of the energy that we needed to keep things. If you don't have cheap energy, we're building this. We're building this power. We're building this plant now to make coal burners over there in Bryan County. Hyundai's going to be building these electric cars up there, and it's going to be 8,400 jobs. But what do you have to have in order to build these cars in the first place? Power. Where is the power going to come from?
Probably oil and gas, I'm going to guess.
Yeah. It ain't going to be batteries, that's for damn sure.
Well, I mean, when does our nuclear come online? Is it scheduled in the next 2 years? Or
I think so, yeah. Hopefully at least one of those reactors is going to be ready shortly. I'm going to check in with our good buddy on the Public Service Commission, find out exactly where we stand on that. But we're the only state in the last almost half a century that has built a nuclear power plant. Whereas France is 80% nuclear power. I thought we were supposed to do things like the Europeans, like France.
Yes, that's what I heard.
Besides sending protesters over here to burn things down in Atlanta.
Yeah, well, maybe they came over the border.
They might have.
Maybe.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the greatest tennis player in the world still can't come to America because he hasn't been vaccinated. I thought the pandemic was over. I thought they were dropping the vaccine mandates.
I don't know, Bill. I don't think that
one of the healthiest people on the planet.
Well, it's just getting to the point where it's ridiculous because there's been so much stuff coming out just in regards to the vaccine and maybe its effectiveness, and the fact that they're still requiring that, I think, is just ludicrous.
All the studies have shown now that the vaccine has not been that effective. It doesn't prevent the spread. Even though Rachel Mad Cow Disease, who just signed a $23 million contract to lie to us, said it would.
Yep. I mean, nothing new with the media. Nothing new.
No. But they get well paid to be stupid and to be wrong. Can you imagine how much money they'd make if they were right?
I mean, I don't know. It would be fun to see, wouldn't it?
It sure would, and we'd be a hell of a lot better off.
Yes, and our population would be much more educated. So.
Yeah, but don't want that, because if we keep people stupid, they'll do whatever the government tells them to do.
Yep, and that's going to do it for us today, Bill.
Get real, America. We're going to be back for the Hump Day edition tomorrow.
See you guys tomorrow.